And go ahead, Nancy.
Okay. Hi, good evening, everybody. So today, after simulation, I'm gonna talk about a little bit our product and our result in operation in trial period. The first one, I'm just gonna talk about a little bit about company background. Uh, our company named Sport Drink, and it was founded in 2020, and we are just catching the increasing of demand of the new sport drink, and we are development and manufacturing organization producing sport drink to support the variety industry as well as make our profits. And we released a new sport drink called Powerade for you, and that product can be consumed before, during, or after an exercise. And the main goal of our products are to prevent dehydration, to replace electrolyte, and provide a vitamin for athletes or workout professional. That's it a little bit our products and our company. And the next one, uh, to make our profit and to create the production, we need to satisfy our customer demand, so that we investing heavily in the marketing report and the consumer profile, so that we're gonna know clearly our feature and our consumer demand, so that we can make the our product to adapt to their consumer. For the marketing report, you can see we got three regions: North, East, and South Iceland. And for the North Iceland, for the consumer psychology, psychographics, we can see almost like they divide equally in price, brand, flavor, electrolyte, and vitamin. And for the East Island, a little bit the same, but for the flavor, not a lot of consumer care much about the flavor. And for the South Islands, they must care about more pride and brand. For the electrolyte and vitamin, we not really they don't really care about much. So that our after discussing, and we are our team member of our company decide to invest in three regions, and North, East, and South. But we almost like taking care about North and East Island more than the South Island. And that's it really much about the marketing report. But Matt's gonna talk about our strategy after we already find out the 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 imaging of the consumer profiles.
Thank you, Nancy. Yeah, I'll just briefly touch on our strategy. So I based our strategy for this simulation from the strategy from our previous simulation, because they're pretty similar, except for the fact that I noticed, I think it was like the last day before the simulation went live, a couple minutes before, it was like 20 minutes before, I noticed that there weren't any bots, any like computer controlled players in the game. It was just us, and I realized that in that moment we could have went with a different strategy. We could have went with the low price high volume strategy, because I noticed a team did that in the previous game, so I figured that might be a viable strategy this time around. And I thought about it, and I thought, yeah, maybe another team would do the same thing. They would have the same idea, and I think that is what ended up happening. I think Fat Cat, they went ahead with that strategy. They kept their prices very low, and they sold very very large amount of units. And so I thought about that, and I was like, yeah, I'm not sure if we want to be getting into a price war with like all the way at the bottom. So we didn't go with the low price strategy. Instead, what we did is we invested very heavily in research and development in the beginning. We put the majority of our budget into vitamins, and what we did is we oh yeah we put the majority of our budget into vitamins. We also, whatever was left over, because vitamins was like 100,000. So whatever was left over, we put into flavor, advertising, and HR, and production for that first period. And it was that second period where we went back into R&D, and we took flavor. Oh, no, sorry, not flavor. We took what was it? Electrolytes. And we maxed that one out as well. And after that, we made sure we had plenty of I should say we made sure we had good employees. So we invested heavily into HR, and we made sure that our advertising was on par with the other companies that were fighting for market share. So we invested in advertising, and we produced enough units to cover our demand. And that's basically it for just our basic strategy. I'll get more into our production later, and I'll talk about a mistake that we had. And so yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Okay, thanks,
Thank you.
Mark, for letting us know about our strategy. As Mark said, we are investing heavily in the first part of the quarter in vitamin and electrolyte. As you can see, the production in here, I show you guys two graphs. The first one is gonna be about monthly comparison between production and inventory. The second one is monthly price in the 12 periods, and like I say at the first quarter, and we invested in vitamin really heavily, almost like maximize the vitamin, and at the second period we maximize the electrolyte so that we should capture the consumer, an audience consumer in price and electrolyte. That's why we not really much because we know that we should capture those audience so that for the bright print and flavor we cannot capture because we don't have anything to compare to another product, so that we just put a little bit more in production, and so that we still have an inventory left. And for the third period, because of the all demand broke down 10%, so that we kind of like decreasing our production. But for the second period, after we investing in vitamin and electrolyte, we continue to investing in flavor and branding, so that you can see our production a little bit higher, but the inventory higher than the first period, because in that period, almost like for industry, they reduce their price to catching almost the consumer behavior. But our strategy not put our price too high or too low. We should put it average because we still need to make at least 10 to 15% profits, so that we cannot lower their price too low, but we still need to capture a little bit uh, pricing strategy, so that you can see we reduce our price a little bit, but not too much. But after, for the second half of the year, at you can see uh, after succeeding in enhancing the product quality and the marketing, the company seemed to nail down on the production level and no inventory left during the last quarter. So, but unfortunately, our strategy seemed fine, but for the last decision, we make a little bit mistake, so that we cannot get rank higher than. But Max gonna talk about that in the later in this presentation. And
Yeah.
right now, Ting Ting gonna help me about talk about the sales marketing and product R&D.
Our marketing has the function of understanding market, consumer demand, guiding enterprise production and operation, and meeting customer demand. In order to do a good job of marketing, we invested in R&D, which is premise of good marketing. Groups that were in need with low price were the core force of beverage market consumption, and the consumption characteristics determine the consumption trend of the beverage market. By understanding the importance of market resource report, we built consumer profile for the three territories, North, South, and East. After studying the report, we realized that our consumer also focus on vitamin, electrolytes, and the brand. So we invested a lot of money in those areas to attract customers. with a reasonable price of 4.5 and 90,000 production. Our strategy was proven correct because we made money every simulation and never had the units expired. We lowered the price from 4.5 to 4 because we had some inventory left and we need to face the market competition and get more customers to buy our products. Also, to improve our business in the market, we invested a lot to increase the motivation of our staff. We gave them good training and good benefits. Therefore, our productivity and morale um, were always good compared with our competitors. When opportunity from competitor and market sale, we keep investing more in flavor. That would increase our customer brand loyalty, and the result prove our decision was right. We made average net profit every simulation. Okay, next we'll continue to talk about our presentation about strategy and human resources.
Oh, thank you very much, Ting. So I'll move on to human resources. What I wanted to touch here is that what we did here in this simulation that we didn't do in the last one. In the last one, we didn't really make any efforts, I think, into improving our employees, which I find that to be a big mistake now. In this simulation, what we did is we made heavy investments into HR early on into the simulation. And so what we did is we gave them training, we raised the salaries, and we also gave them the benefits that they wanted. For the benefits, we gave them the 75% or more benefits because these are the ones that the employees wanted. So we figured we give them these and they'll be happy. We also gave them a couple of extra benefits, a couple of the ones, just a couple of random ones, I think, that were like 55 or 50% or more. After that, we raised salaries. We raised salaries by a little bit. I think it wasn't too much. I think it was like $200 or $300 we raised their salaries, which I think it was enough to raise their morale. And then we also increased the training investment, which I see now that it wasn't as much as other people, but we still give them adequate training. And if you look at the chart to your left, you can see that from period 6 is where around period 4, 5, 6 is where the productivity started to pick up. But from period 6 to 12 is where we really had that 100% productivity. And this is really good because what this allows us to do is have less employees, right? We pay less people. We keep our HR cost low. Also, the morale was good too. It kept our turnover low. We weren't really losing employees, which is again really good. It reduced our need for hiring and firing people. The hiring and severance costs were very low again. So what we did is we invested heavily in HR in the beginning. We kept we had our HR costs high, but as the simulation went on, our HR costs went down. And I'll move on to our year-end report from here. So as you can see, our company ranked 7th out of 9 competing teams. We made heavy investments in R&D, marketing, HR. We kept our price reasonable. As you can see previously in the simulation, our price was we started at $450. We didn't want to start too high or too low. We kind of kept it conservative, but we saw that in this simulation, especially, people kept their prices low. So we also had to adjust this, and we eventually came to a price of $4, which we stuck at. What we did is we kept our price. I guess competitive compared to like the leaders of the simulation. We kept it average, I guess, would be a good way to describe it. And we produced enough to meet our demand. So after the second period, I think, or first or second or third period, is where we really kind of saw where our demand was for our product. But what we also realized is as other companies improved their products, and they as they spent more money in marketing and R&D and all that, they also were stealing our market share. So demand would fluctuate. It would go from 110 units sold to 100,000 units, and sometimes it would even go lower than that. We saw pretty steady profits throughout periods 4 through 8. This is like the middle of the simulation. We had a jump in profits in period 2, and this was because of that. This is those early investments paying off. And so we saw a high jump, and then it kind of leveled off, and we had really good solid profits. It didn't go up or down. I mean, we had slight variations, but for the most part, it was pretty stable. And so now I'll move on to the last slide, our forecast and assumptions. One sec. All right, from here, we believe we could have scored higher in the simulation if it wasn't for our one mistake. So what we did is, or I should say, I mistakenly ordered 90,000 units in I think it was period 8, because what I wanted to do is I wanted to get rid of our excess inventory, because at that point we were like holding like I think it was like 30,000 or 40,000. It wasn't too much when you would compare it to like a team that was doing high volume, but for us it was a lot of inventory to be holding. So I figured I'm gonna drop our order point and get whatever's in our inventory out first, and then from there we could we could ramp back up to like 100 or 110 units, 110,000 units. But the thing is, what I forgot is that period 8 would be the last period that we can adjust, and that the game would progress automatically from there on. And so, this kind of set us up for failure, because we were locked into that 90,000 units, and we couldn't change that basically. So we were always going to be short as the game progressed. Yeah, as you can see, we were 20,000 units short our usual order. And we just started to miss sales as the game went on. I think it was from period like 9 to basically 9 through 12. We were starting to miss sales, I believe. The thing is, we had a large customer base, but we just weren't meeting our demand very well. Yeah, that's our biggest problem. And so, our expenses were high. We were investing a lot of money into HR, production, marketing, R&D, but all of that was going to waste, because it was just hurting our profits, because we couldn't sell enough units. And again, that's 100% our mistake. So we could probably fix that as next time. And so I just wanted to touch on one last thing. Just looking at our simulation, all the other aspects of our simulation, I think we did very well. We followed our strategy to the dot. We maxed out our vitamins and electrolytes early on. We kept our flavor competitive relative to other companies. We also made sure to invest enough in marketing to capture our customers. Our marketing actually, I looked at the charts, and it actually surpassed other teams in North Island. We were pretty much at 100% brand equity in North Island, and our East was very high too. I believe it was like 93 or in the high 90s. So I believe if we didn't make that mistake in units, we for sure would have scored higher in the simulation. And so we invested in HR to keep our employees happy. Our productivity was up, and we produced enough to meet our demand. And that basically does it for this presentation. I think we covered everything here, and just want to say thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. And I just want to make sure a little bit in the last part, like in the last slide
Uh-huh.
in our presentation. So do you see the last sentence? Okay, because we make a little bit mistake. It had to be north and east,
Oh,
not the south,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. I just make sure like we're gonna fix it, and we should, yeah, because like you say it's the right thing, but like in the last the last one, it's just a little bit
Yeah.
different. Yeah.
I should say it should say north and east
Is yeah.
is our main markets. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.